What if everything you thought you knew about Hollywood's elite power dynamics was wrong? In a courtroom filled with shock and tension, Leonardo DiCaprio, one of the most private and guarded figures in Hollywood, broke his silence and revealed something that could change everything. Testifying against music mogul Sean "Diddy" Combs, DiCaprio exposed a dark underbelly of the entertainment industry, one where the most powerful figures are allegedly controlled through covert surveillance, compromising material, and unthinkable leverage. But what drove DiCaprio, a man known for avoiding public controversies, to risk it all and step forward with explosive details about this vast network of power and manipulation? Why would an Oscar-winning actor expose such a dangerous secret? The bombshell revelations from his testimony could unravel not just Diddy's empire, but the entire structure of influence within Hollywood. Stay tuned, because what you're about to hear is only the beginning. In a federal courtroom where tension filled the air and the stakes couldn't have been higher, the unthinkable happened. Leonardo DiCaprio, the reclusive Hollywood icon, took the stand. Known for his aversion to public scrutiny and a career built on keeping his personal life private, DiCaprio's decision to testify was nothing short of shocking. But this wasn't just another celebrity playing their part in a public trial. DiCaprio wasn't a casual witness or a character reference for Diddy. He had direct knowledge of something far more disturbing. What he revealed could forever alter the entertainment industry. For nearly 5 hours, DiCaprio painted a chilling picture of the intricate web of power, manipulation, and control that allegedly ran through Diddy's operation. It wasn't just about music or fashion anymore. It was about a sophisticated blackmail scheme involving some of Hollywood's biggest names. Why did DiCaprio, a man who spent decades shielding himself from controversy, choose now to risk everything? The answer lies in what he witnessed. A web of surveillance, secrets, and control that many had suspected but few dared to speak about. With every word, DiCaprio exposed how Diddy's operations had infiltrated Hollywood at its core, but what he shared was only the beginning. The deeper he went, the more disturbing the story became, revealing a world where even the most influential figures weren't safe from the prying eyes of those in power. This testimony was far from over. The question now was, how far would it go? Then came the bombshell. DiCaprio described what he called the vault, a highly secure facility that allegedly contained decades of meticulously organized, compromising material on some of the most powerful figures in Hollywood. This was not your average collection of industry gossip or tabloid rumors. This was a carefully curated archive, stocked with footage, documents, and recordings that could potentially destroy careers. But what was even more unsettling was DiCaprio's account of how these materials were collected, through strategic surveillance at Diddy's exclusive private gatherings. These weren't casual parties, they were carefully orchestrated events designed to place individuals in compromising situations. As DiCaprio testified, he began to realize that these events weren't just about networking or socializing. They were about controlling Hollywood's elite through intimidation, secrets, and leverage. DiCaprio's testimony painted a disturbing picture of how high-profile figures, from studio executives to major business moguls, were invited into this inner circle. At first, these gatherings appeared harmless, but over time, the actor realized they were something far darker. The most chilling part of his testimony was how these materials were categorized and stored, organizing the compromising footage in a way that allowed Diddy and his associates to exercise unparalleled influence over the industry. The level of detail in DiCaprio's account suggested that the operation wasn't just opportunistic, it was methodical, calculated, and designed to control. And the real kicker? DiCaprio wasn't just a witness to these events, he was one of the people targeted. But what drove him to finally speak up? What could he have witnessed that was so disturbing it made him break his silence? The next part of the story will shock you. As DiCaprio delved deeper into his testimony, the web of influence Diddy allegedly wielded over Hollywood became clearer and far more disturbing. At first, DiCaprio thought Diddy's networking within the entertainment industry was just the typical hustle of a mogul expanding his reach. But over the years, he began noticing a troubling shift in the way Diddy conducted his business. It wasn't just about making connections anymore. DiCaprio testified that Diddy had a keen eye for individuals with power, studio executives, financiers, and media figures, and would go out of his way to form alliances with those who could help further his business empire. But what DiCaprio witnessed next raised serious alarms. Diddy's private events weren't casual gatherings. They were meticulously structured to attract and target the most influential people. At these events, DiCaprio noticed something unsettling. Certain individuals were encouraged to stay behind and move to more exclusive, private areas within the venue, places where the atmosphere shifted from networking to something more sinister. DiCaprio, with his position as a leading actor, often found himself at the center of these gatherings, observing as Diddy zeroed in on specific targets, people who controlled significant resources or held decision-making power. It was at these smaller private sessions that the true nature of Diddy's influence emerged. According to DiCaprio, conversations at these events often led to subtle yet unmistakable indications of leverage. People who had been firm in their positions, whether business or personal, seemed to change after attending Diddy's gatherings. The patterns were too consistent to ignore. DiCaprio knew he had witnessed something far more than just social maneuvering. It was a strategy of control and manipulation. As DiCaprio's testimony unfolded, it became increasingly clear that Diddy's influence extended far beyond the realm of business negotiations. It was about control through compromising material. DiCaprio described how, over the years, he began hearing disturbing accounts from trusted industry colleagues who had attended Diddy's private gatherings. What had initially seemed like harmless social events quickly revealed a dark undercurrent. Several of DiCaprio's peers shared their unsettling experiences, revealing how they had been subtly encouraged to engage in increasingly uninhibited behavior. But what struck DiCaprio the most was how these moments of indiscretion were, quite literally, captured. Phones were often taken away, leaving no way to document the events, and in some cases, guests were pushed to their limits, engaging in activities that they wouldn't typically consider. These actions, DiCaprio testified, weren't random. They were part of a deliberate strategy. The most disturbing revelation came when DiCaprio described how some colleagues had noticed the subtle references to these events during business negotiations or personal disputes with Diddy. This was when he realized the full scope of Diddy's operation. It wasn't just about surveillance, it was about collecting leverage on the most powerful individuals in Hollywood. In 2009, DiCaprio witnessed a significant shift firsthand when a respected director, someone he had worked closely with, suddenly reversed a firm business decision after a private meeting with Diddy. DiCaprio's inquiry about the change led to a chilling comment from the director. Some people keep better records of parties than others. The pattern was clear. Those who made decisions opposing Diddy were subtly manipulated using the compromising material gathered at these events. As DiCaprio's understanding of Diddy's operation deepened, his testimony took an even darker turn. In 2012, he was approached by a former security professional who had worked at Diddy's properties and had witnessed some deeply unsettling practices firsthand. This individual, known only as Mr. K, explained in chilling detail the highly sophisticated surveillance systems installed at several of Diddy's residences, systems designed not for simple security, but for something far more insidious. DiCaprio was shocked to learn that these surveillance systems were intentionally hidden and far more advanced than typical security measures. They captured high-quality audio and video of private gatherings, often without guests' knowledge. These recordings didn't just document the events, they were meticulously stored and organized in what was referred to as the vault, a secure facility specifically designed to house this compromising material. The most alarming detail DiCaprio revealed was the organization and classification of the materials. These weren't random, one-off recordings. They were systematically categorized, with clear labels that indicated the potential value of each piece of footage. DiCaprio testified that some of the materials were organized by the level of influence the individuals had in Hollywood. Studio executives, powerful producers, financiers, and even political figures were all targeted. DiCaprio was eventually shown a video clip from the vault, disturbing footage of an unnamed industry executive in a compromising situation. The clarity and professionalism of the footage made it clear that these recordings weren't accidental. They were deliberately orchestrated to trap powerful individuals, ensuring that their every move could be documented and used for leverage. For DiCaprio, this was the turning point. He realized the full scope of Diddy's operation, one built on surveillance, secrets, and manipulation. As DiCaprio's testimony continued, the gravity of his knowledge became undeniable. What began as a vague sense of unease about Diddy's operations had transformed into first-hand knowledge of an organized, systematic campaign designed to control and manipulate Hollywood's elite. In 2014, DiCaprio's professional interests led him to engage with more security experts, and it was through these connections that he learned even more chilling details about Diddy's blackmail operation. Through a second security professional known as Mr. L, DiCaprio learned about the inner workings of what had been described to him as the vault. This was no longer just speculation or second-hand information. It was now clear that Diddy's operation was far more sophisticated than anyone could have imagined. Mr. L not only confirmed the existence of the vault, but also revealed its purpose, a dedicated facility where compromising footage and recordings were stored, catalogued, and protected by stringent security protocols. This facility wasn't just for storing tapes or documents, it was a treasure trove of leverage. DiCaprio testified that Mr. L had shown him screenshots of the database, which contained entries for hundreds of industry leaders, and in some cases, the cataloging system went back decades. These weren't just casual incidents captured on camera. These were meticulously organized, with each entry carefully categorized based on its potential impact. The chilling part of this revelation was the system's clear strategic intent to create leverage that could be used when needed, whether for personal gain or to manipulate key decisions within Hollywood. As DiCaprio's understanding of the operation deepened, so did his moral dilemma. The stakes were rising, and DiCaprio knew he had a choice to make. Would he remain silent, or would he risk everything to expose the truth? Leonardo DiCaprio's testimony has shattered the illusion of Hollywood as a glamorous, untouchable world, revealing a disturbing system of surveillance and manipulation that could potentially affect some of the industry's most powerful figures. What began as casual observations about Diddy's business practices quickly spiraled into a chilling expose of how one of the most influential men in entertainment allegedly used blackmail and compromising material to control the industry from the shadows. DiCaprio's decision to break his silence, despite the immense personal and professional risks, speaks volumes about the weight of the truth he uncovered. But the implications of this case are far-reaching. This trial is not just about Diddy, it's about the way power is brokered in Hollywood and how the lives and careers of countless people may have been manipulated and controlled through fear and intimidation. DiCaprio's testimony is a window into a dark reality where influence is wielded through secrets, surveillance, and leverage, and it could fundamentally change how we view the entertainment industry going forward. As this case continues to unfold, there's no telling what more shocking revelations might come to light. Will DiCaprio's bravery inspire others to speak out, or will Hollywood continue to protect its most powerful players? Stay tuned, because the truth is just beginning to unravel. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for the latest updates as this unprecedented trial evolves. You won't want to miss what happens next. This story is far from over, and the shocking details are only just starting to emerge.